The great hall of the Zayari Empire was filled with silence. Thousands of glowing lights hung from the ceiling like captured stars, their silver radiance casting long shadows across the polished floor. Alien nobles, their skin shimmering with colors that shifted like liquid crystal, sat in wide arcs, their gazes fixed on the raised platform in the center. At the top of that platform stood the Emperor and Empress, rulers of the most powerful empire in the known galaxy. Before them, chained but standing tall, was a single human. His name was Daniel Carter. His uniform was torn, his face marked with the dirt of captivity, but his back was straight and his eyes sharp. He did not kneel, even when most others in his place would have begged for mercy. The nobles whispered among themselves. A human was a rare sight in these halls. Most had only heard of Earth, a distant planet considered primitive compared to the Empire. Yet here was one of its people captured during an exploratory mission near Zayari space. To the nobles he was a curiosity at best, a weakness at worst. Then came the voice that silenced all whispers. I claim him. All heads turned toward the speaker. It was Princess Kalyra, eldest daughter of the Emperor. Her voice carried across the hall, firm and without hesitation. Her eyes, a radiant silver blue, were locked on the human. Every noble in the chamber stiffened. The declaration was not a request. It was a statement. The Emperor rose slowly from his throne. His towering figure radiated authority. You claim this creature? His voice was deep, echoing across the chamber. Kalyra lifted her chin. Yes, father, this human belongs to me. A wave of gasps rolled through the court. Nobles exchanged startled glances, their crystal-hued faces flickering with disbelief. The Empress narrowed her eyes, her graceful form as sharp as a blade. Kalyra, she said, her tone cold but controlled. Do you understand what you say? This is a human, weak, short-lived, a fragile being unworthy of our house. But Kalyra did not waver. She stepped forward, her robe flowing like liquid light, and stood between her parents and Daniel. You see fragility. I see something you do not. Daniel remained silent, his hands bound in glowing chains. He had not spoken since being dragged into the hall, but now his eyes shifted toward Kalyra. He could not understand why she was doing this, yet he saw no mockery in her gaze. She looked at him as if he were not prey, but something else. The Emperor's eyes darkened. Explain yourself. Kalyra met her father's gaze with the courage that had often unsettled the court. Our empire prides itself on strength, yet strength is not only in the body. It can be in the spirit, in the will to endure. This human, she gestured toward Daniel, stood in chains in front of us, and still he does not bow. He does not tremble. He does not beg. Even our warriors show less dignity when brought before this court. That is worth more than appearances. Chamber filled with uneasy murmurs. Some nobles scoffed at her words, others looked thoughtful. The Empress shook her head. You speak of dignity as if it matters more than power. Our empire is built on conquest, not fragile pride. Kalyra's voice grew stronger. Conquest is nothing if we cannot recognize worth where it exists. This human belongs to me, and I will show you that he is not as weak as you believe. The weaker Emperor's gaze turned to Daniel. Human, he said with a low rumble. You stand accused of trespassing into our space. Do you deny it? Daniel lifted his head. His voice was steady, carrying across the chamber. I do not deny it. I came seeking knowledge, not war. If you wish to call that trespassing, so be it. But I will not apologize for being what I am. His words caused another ripple through the nobles. A prisoner daring to speak so boldly was unthinkable, yet Daniel spoke as though he were free. Kalyra's lips curved slightly. You see? He fears nothing. The Empress rose from her throne, her movements graceful but filled with tension. You disgrace this court, Kalyra. To defend a human, to claim one, is beneath you. Do you not understand how the people will see this? Kalyra stood taller, her silver blue eyes burning with quiet fire. Let them see. One day, they will understand. For now, I only need you to accept my claim. The Emperor's gaze shifted between his daughter and the human. For a long moment the hall was silent. Then, slowly, he sat back down. Very well, he said at last, his tone heavy. The human is yours. But remember this, Kalira. If your claim brings shame or weakness to our house, it will be your burden to bear. Kalira bowed her head in respect but did not hide the small victory in her eyes. She turned toward Daniel, who watched her with guarded curiosity. For the first time since his capture, he felt a flicker of something he thought had been lost. Hope. As guards released his chains and handed him into Kalira's care, whispers surged through the nobles like waves. Some muttered about scandal, others about danger. But all agreed on one thing. The princess's choice would change something. Whether for good or ill, none could yet say. And as Kalira led Daniel out of the hall, she glanced at him and said, softly, "Do not mistake this for charity, human. I did not choose you because you are weak. I chose you because I see strength others are too blind to recognize." Daniel did not answer. He only walked beside her, his mind racing. Whatever, this strange bond meant one truth was clear. His fate was no longer only his own. It had become tangled with the destiny of a princess and the empire she defied. The corridors of the royal palace stretched like a maze of shining silver walls and softly glowing lights. Princess Kalira led Daniel through them, her steps confident, her robe brushing the polished floor. Daniel followed, still cautious, his mind trying to process the strange turn his life had taken. One moment, he was a captured explorer, facing an alien empire. The next he had a princess claiming him as if he were something precious. Servants and guards lined the corridors, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and fear. Whispers followed them everywhere. "The human belongs to Kalira," they murmured, shaking their heads. Some hid smiles, some looked concerned. It was unheard of for a member of the royal family to show such attention to a human. Kalira led him to a private chamber, a large room filled with soft lights and intricate decorations that shimmered like liquid. Comfortable furniture and quiet corners made it clear that few had ever entered this place, and fewer still were allowed to stay. "You may rest here," Kalira said, her tone polite but firm. "But do not mistake comfort for freedom. You are not yet trusted." Daniel nodded, his hands still bound loosely. "I understand," he said. His voice was calm, though inside, he felt a mix of fear and curiosity. He had seen powerful empires before, but nothing like this. He had learned quickly that alien societies valued appearances, strength, and obedience above all else, yet Kalira seemed different. She had chosen him for reasons he could not yet guess. For a long while, neither spoke. Kalira studied him from a distance, her silver-blue eyes thoughtful. Daniel watched her as well. He noted the careful grace in her movements, the sharp intelligence behind her words. He wondered what made a princess break tradition so boldly. Finally, Kalira broke the silence. "Tell me about Earth," she said. "What makes humans different from us?" Daniel tilted his head. It was the first real question she had asked, and it felt more like curiosity than command. "We are persistent," he began slowly. "We survive when the odds are against us. We keep hope alive, even when everything seems lost. Our strength is not always in our bodies, but in our minds and our spirit." Kalira's eyes brightened slightly. "That is what I see in you," she said softly. "Even chained, even surrounded by enemies, you do not give in. You do not tremble. That is worth more than muscle or claws." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You truly believe that?" "I do," she said firmly. "Most of my people see only weakness in you. But I see endurance, courage, and a fire that does not die easily." For the first time, Daniel felt a spark of understanding. The princess did not pity him. She respected him. That was rare, even among humans. He had faced fear, captivity, and uncertainty. yet he had never been seen in this way. Over the next days, Kalira tested him in small ways. She asked questions about his planet, his people, and the way humans lived. She asked him how they faced challenges, what gave them hope, and why they did not break under pressure. Daniel answered honestly, never exaggerating or trying to impress her. He spoke of ordinary people, of courage found in small acts, of perseverance through hardship. You speak of your kind as if they are heroes, Kalira said one evening, her tone thoughtful. Yet you are just one person, small and fragile in this empire. Why should anyone care about your words? Daniel smiled faintly. Because hope is contagious. Even one person who refuses to give up can inspire many. Strength is not just what you see. It is what you carry inside. Kalira nodded slowly, a faint smile crossing her lips. Perhaps that is why I chose you. Not for your body, not for your skills, but for your spirit. As the days passed, whispers in the palace grew louder. Some servants admired Kalira's bravery, while others whispered warnings about scandal. A human cannot belong to a princess, they said. It will bring power imbalance. He could not foe. The palace corridors were alive with whispers that grew louder each day. Word of Princess Kalira's claim over the human had spread beyond the private chambers, reaching the ears of nobles, generals, and council members. Many were shocked, some enraged and a few curious. A human? A fragile, unknown species chosen by a princess? It was almost unimaginable. Kalira, however, walked through the halls as if she belonged in every shadow and light. She did not hide her companion Daniel, who now walked beside her freely, his hands no longer bound. The human had earned her trust with his words, his courage, and his unwavering calm. Still, not everyone saw him the same way. One morning, a group of nobles gathered in a private council chamber. Their leader, Prince Malvorn, a tall alien with deep emerald skin and sharp eyes, spoke first. The princess is making a mockery of tradition. Choosing a human over one of our warriors is not only foolish, it is dangerous. Do you not see how this weakens her position? Another noble, with skin like polished bronze, nodded. This human cannot defend himself, and yet she elevates him above all others. It is an insult to the house of Zayari. Something must be done. Back in her chambers, Kalira sensed the tension rising outside. She sat with Daniel, her expression calm but serious. The council is plotting, she said. They will challenge me soon. They do not understand what I see in you. Daniel looked thoughtful. Then they will have to see it the hard way. Not through words, but through action. Kalira smiled. Faintly. You speak boldly for a human, but I like that. Your words are steady even when the world doubts you. That is why I trust you. That evening, as the sun-like lights of the palace dimmed into soft twilight, the council summoned Kalira to the throne hall. She knew the challenge was coming. The emperor sat on his throne, expression unreadable, while nobles filled every seat and alcove. Their eyes flicked to Daniel, who remained calm at her side. Prince Malvorn stepped forward, his voice ringing through the hall. Princess Kalira, you have humiliated our house by claiming a human as your companion. Do you not realize that you place yourself and all of us in shame? Kalira lifted her chin. I understand perfectly, she said, and yet I will not renounce my claim. This human is more than you think. He is not weak. He is strong, in ways that matter more than muscle or magic. The hall erupted in murmurs. Some nobles whispered in disbelief. Others nodded secretly, curious to see how this human might prove himself. Malvorn's eyes narrowed. If you are so certain, princess, then let him speak for himself. Let the human prove his worth. All eyes turned to Daniel. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, his gaze steady. I do not seek your approval, he began. I am not here to entertain or please you. I came from a planet where survival depends on hope, courage, and determination. Humans are not the strongest by force, but we endure. We stand when others fall, and we do not give up, even when all seems lost. The chamber fell silent. His words were not grand or boastful. They were simple, honest, and unyielding. Kalira's parents and the nobles listened closely, some skeptical, some intrigued. Prince Malvorn sneered. "Clever words, but words are not strength. How can you, a human, possibly survive in our empire?" Daniel met his gaze without fear. "Strength is not always what you see. It is what you carry inside. I may not have your claws, your armor, or your technology, but I have willpower, strategy, and courage, and that is why I stand here today." A few nobles exchanged uneasy glances. His composure was unusual, almost unsettling. Kalira's smile grew. She had seen this in humans before, an inner fire that refused to be extinguished. The Empress rose, her voice calm but cutting. "You speak boldly, human, yet one day your confidence may be your downfall." Daniel bowed his head slightly, respectfully. "Perhaps, but it is better to stand proud than to live in fear." Kalira stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "Do you see now?" she said to the council. "This human does not bow to fear. He does not tremble before power. That is why he matters. That is why I chose him." The council erupted in anger, some shouting, some shaking their heads in disbelief. Malvorn bellowed, "You will regret this, Kalira. This human will bring ruin to your house." Kalira did not flinch. "Perhaps," she said calmly, "or perhaps he will show you what you have forgotten. Strength is not only in domination. Sometimes it is in spirit." The hall fell into tense silence once more. For the first time, some nobles began to wonder if Kalira's choice might hold merit. A human standing firm in front of their most powerful leaders was unprecedented. It forced them to question long-held beliefs about weakness and worth. Later, as the hall emptied, Kalira led Daniel to a balcony overlooking the city below. The lights of the alien metropolis shimmered like stars, reflecting in his dark eyes. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "they may challenge you again. They may try to test your strength. Be ready, not with weapons, but with your mind and your spirit." Daniel nodded, understanding that this was no longer about survival alone. It was about showing them something they had never seen before, the quiet, unyielding power of a human heart. Kalira placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Remember, Daniel, I did not choose you for fear, nor for convenience. I chose you because I see what they cannot, and perhaps with time they will see it too." Daniel allowed a small smile to form. "Then let them watch. Let them see what a human can endure." As they stood together on the balcony, the first hints of a new day began to appear. The rising sun-colored lights of the city reflected off the buildings, casting long golden shadows. Below, the empire continued its usual rhythm, unaware that the presence of a human and the choice of a princess had begun a change that would ripple far beyond these walls. And in that quiet moment, Kalira and Daniel shared a rare understanding. The coming trials would test them both, but whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. And in that bond, something powerful had begun, something the Empire had never seen before. The day of the trial arrived, and the palace was filled with a tense energy that seemed to vibrate through every corridor and chamber. The nobles, the council, and even some of the Emperor's closest advisors gathered in the grand arena, their eyes fixed on the center stage. The challenge was designed to test Daniel, not just his mind, but his courage and resilience. The entire empire would watch. Princess Kalira led Daniel to the arena's entrance. She could feel the nervous energy emanating from him, but she also sensed his calm determination. "Remember," she said quietly, "they will test you in ways you do not expect. Strength alone will not win. Use your mind, your heart, and your courage. That is what I chose you for." Daniel nodded, his dark eyes steady. "I understand. I will do my best." The gates opened, revealing a vast area filled with obstacles, puzzles, and tests designed to challenge even the most skilled. Warriors. Alien guards, some taller than trees with claws and armor, watched carefully from the sidelines. The nobles whispered among themselves, some confident that the human would fail, others secretly curious about what might happen. The first challenge was a test of agility and observation. Giant mechanical platforms shifted in unpredictable patterns, forcing participants to jump and move with precision. Daniel studied the platforms carefully. He did not try to move faster than necessary. Instead, he observed the rhythm, predicting the pattern, and timed each step. His movements were calculated, almost elegant, and slowly, he crossed the platforms without a single misstep. The crowd murmured in surprise. Many had expected him to stumble immediately. Kalira's eyes gleamed with pride. "Good," she whispered to him. "Keep going." Next came a test of endurance. A narrow path stretched over a deep chasm, swaying dangerously. Strong gusts of wind threatened to push challengers off balance. Daniel took a deep breath, focusing not on the height or danger, but on each step. He adjusted his weight, kept his gaze forward, and walked steadily across. Some of the alien challengers struggled, but Daniel's patience and focus allowed him to succeed where brute strength might have failed. The third test was a challenge of logic. A series of glowing symbols covered a wall, shifting and changing. The participants were required to solve the pattern to unlock a hidden door. Daniel studied the symbols carefully, analyzing how they moved. Slowly, methodically, he recognized the pattern and pressed the correct sequence. The door opened, revealing the next stage. The nobles gasped. A human solving an advanced alien puzzle was unprecedented. By now, whispers spread through the arena. Some began to cheer silently for the human, while others grew anxious at the possibility of his success. Kalira remained calm, observing every step he took. She had believed in him from the start, but even she felt a thrill of pride as he faced each challenge with calm determination. The final stage was a test of teamwork. Daniel had to coordinate with a robotic ally, following precise instructions, to navigate a maze filled with traps. He communicated clearly, giving concise directions, and worked patiently with the robot. Many aliens would have tried to force the machine to act, relying on power or threats. Daniel used understanding and strategy, achieving success through careful guidance and cooperation, and determinator. The palace had grown quieter since Daniel's impressive trial, but the tension simmered beneath the surface. Nobles who had doubted him were watching more closely than ever, whispering in dark corners and plotting behind closed doors. Among them, Prince Malvorn's anger had not faded. He believed Daniel's presence threatened the traditions and authority of the empire. Kalira was aware of the growing unrest. She had tried to ignore it, focusing instead on understanding Daniel and helping him navigate their complex world. But the princess knew that whispers could turn into actions. Someone might attempt to remove the problem she had created, a human who refused to bow. One evening, as Kalira and Daniel walked through the palace gardens, she spoke softly. "Daniel, be ready. Not everyone is pleased with your success. Some may try to harm you. Some may even try to use you as a pawn to punish me." Daniel nodded, his face calm. "I expected as much. I came into this world knowing I was different. I will not run, but I will be careful." The gardens, usually serene, seemed to take on a tense atmosphere. Shadows moved among the glowing plants, and the distant hum of the city felt louder than normal. Kalira held his arm lightly. "You are not alone," she said. "I will not let anyone harm you while I can stop them." The warning came sooner than expected. That night, a group of masked intruders attempted to enter her private chambers. They were skilled, moving silently and confidently through the palace corridors. Their mission was clear: capture or harm Daniel to demonstrate the danger of defying tradition. Kalira and Daniel were ready. Using the knowledge of secret passages and alertness that Kalira had taught him, Daniel quickly assessed the situation. "We need to draw them into the open," he whispered. "Then we can escape or stop them without confrontation." Working. Together, they moved quietly through hidden corridors, luring the intruders away from the princess's chambers. Daniel's calm mind and quick thinking allowed them to avoid the traps and patrols, guiding them to an area where the intruders' plan would fail without harm. When the intruders finally realized their efforts were foiled, they fled, leaving the human and the princess unharmed. Kalira watched them retreat, her heart racing but her mind clear. "They will not stop," she said. "The nobles will try again, and perhaps with more cunning." Daniel looked at her with quiet determination. "Then we must be ready every time. You trust me and I trust you. That is stronger than any plot or scheme." The next day, the council convened in the throne hall. Malvorn stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Your Highness, this human has caused instability in the Empire. His presence encourages defiance, and I fear what will come if others see him as equal or worthy of protection." Kalira stood tall, her eyes blazing with resolve. "He is not just worthy," she said firmly. "He is extraordinary, and he is under my protection. Those who challenge him challenge me, and that is something I will not allow." The council murmured, divided between loyalty and fear. Even the Emperor and Empress seemed torn, recognizing Daniel's influence yet unsure how to navigate the consequences. Later in the privacy of her chambers, Kalira spoke to Daniel. "They may continue to test us, to push us to see if we will break, but we cannot. Our bond must be stronger than their plots." Daniel nodded. "I do not seek to challenge the Empire. I only seek to live and to show them the value of what they underestimate." Kalira smiled softly. "Then we will face them together. You are not a prisoner, Daniel. You are an ally, and allies are stronger than fear or tradition." Despite their words, the danger was real. Rumors of new plots and secret movements reached their ears daily. Nobles schemed to discredit Kalira, hoping to force her to abandon Daniel or face humiliation. Others whispered that the princess's judgment was flawed, that she risked the stability of the empire for someone they could not control. One night, as Kalira walked along the palace ramparts, Daniel joined her. Below, the city shimmered with lights, calm yet alive with activity. "Do you ever wonder," Kalira asked quietly, "if we are truly making a difference, or just stirring more trouble?" Daniel looked out over the city, thoughtful. "Every small act can ripple outward," he said. "Perhaps our actions today will inspire change tomorrow. Perhaps it will be subtle, almost invisible, but real. That is the kind of strength humans have." Kalira turned to him, a faint smile on her lips. "Then we must be bold. Even if they plot against us, we will continue. You have already changed more minds than you realize." The days that followed brought both tension and hope. Daniel continued to prove himself not only in skill but in wisdom. He offered advice, foresaw potential dangers, and navigated the subtle politics of the palace with patience and calm. Slowly, some nobles began to see the truth in Kalira's choice. Even a few skeptics could not deny that the human's presence encouraged courage, strategy, and thoughtfulness among those around him. Then came the moment of choice. One of the palace's advisors approached Kalira quietly, warning of a new plan to kidnap Daniel and force him out of the empire. The princess understood immediately. This was not just a threat to Daniel. It was a threat to her authority, her vision, and the bond they had begun to form. Kalira turned to Daniel. "They will try again," she said. "You must decide how far you are willing to go. I cannot protect you forever, but I will fight as long as I can." Daniel looked into her eyes, understanding the gravity of her words. "I am not here to be protected," he said. "I am here to stand with you. If danger comes, we face it together. That is the only way to be strong." Kalira felt a surge of pride and relief. For the first time, she realized that her choice had been right not only because of what Daniel could do, but because of who he was. A human with courage, loyalty, and unshakable spirit. That night, as they watched the glowing city together, Kalira whispered, "Whatever comes next, we will Face it side by side. Daniel nodded, a quiet confidence in his eyes. Yes. And perhaps through our choices the Empire will learn something new, something it has long forgotten. The palace slept, but in the hearts of the princess and the human, a bond had solidified. Danger might come, nobles might plot, and challenges would rise. But they knew that together they could face anything. And in that knowledge there was hope, not just for them, but for the possibility of a new understanding between species, a recognition of strength that went far beyond appearances or tradition. The Empire was tense. Word had spread of the failed plots and of Daniel's calm courage. Nobles whispered in private chambers, some plotting, some questioning, and some quietly admiring the human who had faced trials they thought impossible. Princess Kalira walked through the palace halls with a steady, determined stride, her presence commanding attention. Beside her, Daniel walked equally confidently. No longer a mere prisoner, he was now a symbol of courage, resilience, and a challenge to tradition. The Emperor summoned a council meeting. All nobles gathered, their expressions ranging from curiosity to apprehension. Kalira entered with Daniel by her side, holding her head high. "Father," she began, "I brought this human into the Empire not as a prisoner, but because I see something you do not. He is not weak. He is strong in ways that matter more than muscle or magic." The Emperor's gaze swept across the room, landing on Daniel. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he spoke. "You have proven endurance, courage, and intelligence. Yet your presence challenges the traditions we have followed for centuries. How do you propose we move forward without risking the Empire's stability?" Daniel stepped forward. His voice was calm and respectful. "I do not seek to overthrow your traditions or claim power. I only ask to stand as an equal, to show what humans can contribute when trusted. I am not here as a weapon, nor as a tool. I am here to demonstrate that strength comes in many forms, resilience, loyalty, and courage included." A hush fell over the council. Many had never seen a human speak so confidently in front of the Emperor. Some nodded slowly, beginning to understand that Daniel's value was not in his body, but in his spirit and mind. Prince Malvorn, still seated with a scowl, spoke loudly. "And if this human fails? If he causes chaos or scandal, will Princess Kalira be responsible? You risk too much, daughter of the Empire." Kalira met his gaze firmly. "Then let the Empire judge not by fear or prejudice, but by results. He has already proven his worth. I will not abandon him, nor will I allow anyone to undermine what he represents." The Empress, observing quietly, finally stepped forward. "Perhaps," she said thoughtfully, "we have long underestimated humans. This one demonstrates qualities that our traditions have ignored. Caution is wise, but perhaps it is time to reconsider what defines strength and value." The Emperor's expression softened, though his voice remained commanding. "Very well. If this human is to remain in the Empire, it must be as an ally and not a captive. He shall have freedom of action, under Kalira's guidance. This is unprecedented, but it is your decision, Kalira." Kalira's eyes brightened. She looked at Daniel, who nodded with quiet gratitude. "Thank you, Father," she said. "We will honor your trust."